Can you beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth without materia or items? Now, why is this challenge so hard? Because materia and items are literally one of the only ways you can heal your life in this entire game. There are other ways, but those are basically the two main ways. And if a character dies in my team during battle, I can't bring them back, cause I can't use Phoenix Down, which is an item. I just got this game, I'm already doing this challenge, and I hope I know enough about this game to actually make it through this challenge. It's time to see. We start off this game with Zack, which is a shock to me, and we made it to Midgar. Midgar had just been ravaged by tornadoes, or that's what they were saying on the news, and Aerith was one of the survivors. Zack decided to leave Cloud with a complete stranger because Cloud would be safe with a complete stranger, and we ran outside of Midgar to save Aerith. I finally made it to Aerith, but I was too late. Back to Cloud and the gang. Barrett wanted to know more about Sephiroth and I, so I told him about the Nibelheim incident. We were heading to Nibelheim to check out the reactor, and apparently some Shinra execs forgot some pure Colombian inside the reactor and they wanted us to collect it for them. That was basically our entire mission, to go to the reactor and collect some pure Colombian. We were branded it as something else, but that was basically the mission. I wasn't really focusing on the mission or the pure Colombian that they was talking about. I was mostly focusing on my idol and how he became such an amazing fella. We were attacked and the fiends didn't even know what they were going up against. They were going up against the most amazing man in the world. He was handsome. He had a 10-foot katana. This man could take down anything, and he did. He beat them so effortlessly. I struggled against one. I wanted to be exactly like him. Then we made it to Nibelheim. Sephiroth wanted to know how it feels to be back home, and I told him that I was happy to see everybody, some more than others, and he proceeded to tell me that he doesn't have a home, or he doesn't even know who his father is. The only thing he know about his mother is that her name was Genova. Sephiroth in the lower class proceeded to the end, and I went to my mother's house. I was happy to see her, but I already knew what she was going to talk about. No surprise, the moment I walked in, she started saying, when you getting married and when you having kids. I told her I was 15 and she said, by your age, I had already had 2 kids and I was married. By the way, I was an only child. After spending a little more time at my mother's house, I went on to the end. I proceeded to get sexually assaulted by Tifa's teacher and I went to my room. Thinking back on the Nibelheim mission, I think I know where everything's changed with Sephiroth. It was the moment in the morning when we were about to set off. Tifa was our guide and a guy asked for a picture. Sephiroth clearly didn't want to take a picture, but we forced him into it and you were just able to see the anger on his face. I think that was the point where he lost faith in humanity. Now, I'm not going to talk much about the journey to the reactor. The only thing I'm going to focus on is the first boss fight, which was easy because Sephiroth fights so well. Props to this game for making him fight so good. Like, I hadn't played with Cloud not once throughout that entire boss fight, unless I was forced to. We made it to the reactor and Sephiroth began to talk about that sick piece of shit Hojo and how he was testing on human beings and animals. He was saying Hojo would take that Colombian and he would inject it inside of animals and humans, and sometimes it would create whatever the hell that thing was. Then he saw Genova and it's like he had a realization about something. We went back to the inn and Sephiroth closed himself off. Once the time came when I usually go on and check on him to see if he needed anything, he was gone. Then someone said that Sephiroth was at the mansion, so I had to go to the mansion. Once I made it to the Shinra mansion, Sephiroth was researching Genova and the Genova project. Sephiroth told me that Genova was the Colombian and they were injected into fetuses and humans. Sephiroth told me that Genova was the Colombian that we were searching for, that we went over there for. Then once I came back, he changed what he said. He said Genova wasn't the Colombian. Genova contained the Colombian inside of her. Genova was apparently an ancient, and inside of her body was the Colombian. It didn't make sense to me, but apparently that's what they were using. Then Sephiroth began to leave. Once I wanted to know more information, he pushed me away. I made it outside the mansion. He already got to Nibelheim. He burnt it down. Now, that bastard had to pay. I went to the reactor and Tifa was extremely hurt. By her runes, I thought she wasn't gonna make it, but I had to stop Sephiroth. So, I grabbed my Buster Sword and after that, I don't remember anything else. During the night, Tifa came to my room and she wanted to talk, so we went on to the roof. While we were going to the roof, Sephiroth came. No, this time I think it was PTSD. The PTSD put something inside of my head. It said Tifa shouldn't have survived that attack by Sephiroth.
And you know this, man!
I didn't want to doubt Tifa, but I had a point. I went to the roof and I told Tifa, I know I saw her die that day. Then she said her teacher, he clamped up to the reactor and he rescued her. Tifa even showed the room to prove it. Then I said,
I was just bullshitting.
yeah, that did not help out my situation whatsoever. But still, at least I tried to lighten up the mood. From there, we went on to our rooms. I walked around calm in the morning, and then I went on a date with Aerith. Then Shinra troops came. We got help from the innkeeper. He got us out of calm, and we started to head to some swampland. We made it to some swampland, and they said the best way to get by is on Chocoback. So we went to a chocobo farm, caught a one-away chocobo, and since I had time to spare, I went to do a few side quests. In this game, there's another way you can use magic without materia, but it's not as powerful as materia or anything like that. I can use that since again, it's not materia. We went back to the swampland and coming into the Midgar Surmer, I thought I wasn't gonna have to fight the Midgar Surmer until I was forced to fight it. No, literally. In this game, you have to fight the Midgar Surmer. I wish you didn't because I spent too much time on this boss. He was so hard, not even lying. From going from the first boss to this boss was a huge jump. Barret and Red were the strongest members of my party and they carried this entire fight. And there are a few rules I had to follow when beating bosses in this game. With this boss, this first rule was extremely important. Pick the right team to play against the boss. Once I tried playing this boss with Aerith and Tifa, it was way harder than with Barret and Red. And remember how I said you can use magic? That really came in handy against this boss. Also, Barret and Red were the strongest members of my party. Remember that for later. We made it to the cave and we followed the people in black robes through the cave. Some of the people in black robes fell and Barret and Red decided to stay back to help them. Tifa, Aerith and I continued to the cave and we ran into Rude and a female Turk. Her name was Elena. Now remember how I said that Red and Barret were the strongest people on my team? This is where it kind of backfires on me because I haven't really played with Tifa and Aerith that much at the beginning of this game, and that really made Rude and Elena pretty hard. And literally at this point I was about to give up on the challenge, saying that I didn't know too much about this game, which is true. I was gonna make a video saying how I failed the challenge and blah 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 blah. But the moment I said I was gonna make that video, I beat them. And I didn't just beat them, I did so good against them that I had to continue the challenge. From there, Zhang came, he killed one of the people in black robes, he threw a grenade, and the Turks escaped. From there, my soul was transported into Barret, and remember, like I said, Barret and Red were literally the strongest members on my team, so basically this was the easiest portion of the game. We met back up with the rest of the group, and we continued to follow the people in black robes. We made it outside of the cave and we went to Undercity Junon. We met the mayor. The moment we were about to check into an inn, a little girl started screaming. You know the feeling when you're about to do something and then someone asks you to do it and now you don't really want to do it because you don't want to seem like you're doing it because they ask you? That's how it was with the innkeeper. He asked me to go help the little girl because I was a fighter, even though I was already going to help her. And because I went to go help, I had to kill an innocent fish. If you don't know this about me, I hate killing innocent animals. Or who am I killing? I was only mad because this game loves to force you into bosses you don't have to fight. Like this one. I did not have to fight this boss. And the reason I was so pissed because I was doing this challenge and these bosses were annoying. And they keep forcing you into boss fights. And now to add something else to the rule, you not only have to pick the right team for the boss, you also have to pick the right person. What I mean by the right person, you have to stick with one person doing the entire boss, mainly, and that person for me doing this boss fight was Red, because Red was the fastest, and he was pretty strong. It's usually the fastest character. And if that character dies, I have to start over. We saved Yuffie and she said she wanted to talk to us. We told her we would stand at the Juon Inn and if she wanted to talk to us, she could just swing by. From there, Yuffie, Naruto ran away. We checked into the inn and as I was walking past Aerith's room, I heard another voice. I don't know who the hell that was, but they did not sound familiar. As I walked closer, it was Red. No, there's no way that was Red. That didn't sound anything like Red. I don't know who that person was, but that wasn't no damn Red. I went upstairs and I ran into Tifa. Things were still awkward between me and Tifa and I apologized for what I said at calm. She invited me into her room and then Tifa began to talk. Then I began to wonder what would actually happen if I managed to take the Colombian that's inside of Genova. How much would I change? Would I become like Sephiroth or would I become better than him? Then Tifa said,
"You're not interested, are you?"
And I was shocked that Tifa was still talking. I went on to my room and in the morning, those assholes decided to meet Yuffie in my room. Yuffie began to tell us about the assassination plan on Rufus and how that little girl planned the entire thing. Honestly, I have to admit that little girl is savage as hell. Then she said she wanted us to join her. I didn't agree to this plan whatsoever, so I said no. Then she said the mayor also agreed to this plan and she was using our bounties to pay Yuffie. The mayor lied to us. What an asshole she was. She said she wasn't gonna tell anyone we were here. Then that weirdo soldier guy came and he said he wanted to fight me in a big stage at Upper Junon. Well, I had to go now because it was a date and I couldn't miss it. To prepare for the date, I went on some side quests. Aerith learned a valuable lesson to never help old people no matter what, and I saw some stoner guys. I actually thought about joining them. Out of better judgment, I decided not to. From there, the little girl helped us get topside and she said the only thing she wanted us to do is to stay out of public sight. We made it to Upper City Junon. The guards up here had a serious problem because for some strange reasons they didn't care about the fugitives that were here. Then for some stranger reason, Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa decided to take some trooper uniforms to blend in, even though no one cared that they were up here. We apparently took the wrong uniforms because now we was in the parade. Because we weren't at practice, the commander wanted us to practice in front of them. The commander wanted us to show her that we were ready for the parade. And apparently I was the best, so they made me the captain of the 7th Infantry. The only thing that little girl asked us to do was to stay out of sight. And now I'm the captain of the 7th Infantry performance. I got the 7th Infantry together and we had an amazing performance. The only problem is when the hell did Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa practice for this? Anyway, the mobile unit still the best performance from us, but the only thing that mattered was the president's commendation. And we got the president's commendation. We walked up to receive the president's commendation and Rufus knew who we were. Rufus gave us an amazing deal and I was about to accept it, but Yuffie and that damn assassination plan ruined everything. I was so pissed, but I still had a date to get to. Then the 7th Infantry escorted me to my date and I have to admit, Roche went all out. But even on the stage, I still knew the outcome was gonna stay the same. I destroyed Roche. I literally beat him first try. From there, I met back up with the rest of the group and we got on a ship heading to Costa del Sol. While we were on the ship was attacked by fiends. Then those people in black robes fused to create a Sephiroth. Then Sephiroth said,
But I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Jenova was hard. Remember how I said the best way to beat bosses was to stick to one character? And the character is usually the fastest person? This time it wasn't. This time it was Barrett. Barrett was literally the best person to go up against Jenova. After we beat Jenova, we made it to Costa del Sol. And since we were in Costa del Sol, we decided to take a day off. I'm pretty sure everybody watching this has already seen the swimsuit scene, so I'm not gonna talk about it. It's not like I forgot to record it or anything. On the beach, that disgusting human being Hojo came. The only question I have is how the hell did he have more women than me? From there, Hojo started doing Hojo things. I'm not gonna really talk about this boss fight because it was nothing special, but once we all got captured, Yuffie saved us. She kind of made up for the entire assassination plan. From there, we went to Johnny's Inn, and in the morning, we set off to Mount Coral. The moment we was about to leave, Yuffie said she wanted to join us, and of course, I didn't have no problem letting her join because, again, she saved us. Before we went to Mount Coral, I decided to go and play the piano. I sound amazing. Just listen to me. Hey, over here, we left the piano. Now, to catch you up on what happened, Barrett, Tifa, and Yuffie decided to go up ahead once we made it to Mount Coral. I finally managed to get my way around the mountain and we ran into the Turks again. And they were letting off some of those people in black robes. No lie, I actually used to like Elena until she forced me into another boss fight. This time it was one of Shinri Valkyrie robots. This boss was a headache. You know how I said on every boss you have to stick with one person, and if that person died, just start over from the beginning? This time it was two people. It was Red because he was the fastest, and I needed Aerith to stay alive because I needed her limit break healing winds. And also this was the first time I decided to use a revival earring, which I should have used it for those other bosses. Now I may be dumb from just realizing this, but when Red is in his revenge mode, you can use a move called Siphon Fang, and that restores 120 to 140 HP, and that was extremely useful during this boss fight. After about like an hour hour, we finally beat it. We met back up with the rest of the group. We arrived to the reactor and we saw it. A weapon. Red started explaining what weapons are and how they only come when a planet is in great danger. We left the destroyed reactor. Cloud couldn't go on from that point and my soul was transported into Yuffie. Another easy section because at this point pretty much everybody on the party were equal except Red. He was just the best. From there, Barrett, Tifa, and Yuffie decided they wanted to take a cart, so we cleared the tracks for them. Then we made it to Kuril, and the people at Kuril was acting like assholes to Barrett. I swear, if Barrett didn't say it was okay, somebody was gonna die. Then Tifa said she wanted to go visit somebody, and I had no idea she had friends in this shithole. It was the doctor that saved her after the Nibelheim incident, and he was looking at those people in black robes. He said those people in black robes appeared to have some strange kind of drug inside of them, and somehow they are related to soldiers. He looked into my eyes and he said, "You're a soldier," and he wanted my blood. From there, he lost me. We started heading to the gold saucer, and while we were going over there, Barrett began to tell us about Kuril, Shinra, and the reactor. How he pushed for the reactor, and once the reactor was destroyed, Shinra blamed it on the people of Kuril and they destroyed Kuril. That's why the people over here disliked him. We all took a moment of silence, then we arrived at the gold saucer. Barrett and I really didn't care about the gold saucer, so we went on to book the hotels. While we were going to book the hotels, we met a fortune teller cat and he really wanted to tell our future. It canceled someone's appointment, and while we were going to our rooms, I finally gave into it and I let it tell my future. And it was terrible at telling futures. We made it to our rooms. Barrett stepped out for a while. After Barrett left, I had the strangest dream. It was about some guy with black hair and Barrett's kid. Then I woke up, and then Tifa came. Tifa said she wanted to go around the gold saucer with me, and not gonna lie, the games over here were great, 10 out of 10. We went on to the Ferris wheel and some asshole started shooting up the gold saucer. I don't know who he was, but I'm pretty sure no one liked him. They said it was a guy with a handgun. I'm pretty sure it wasn't our guy with a handgun, but since that was the only person Dio knew, he was blaming it all on him. Dio then said that he was at the lower prison of the gold saucer, and we decided to go to the lower prison of the gold saucer. Kasif joined us. Once we made it to the Kuril prison, the boss said that he would help us if I won a chocobo race. He took everybody as hostage as insurance. Then they introduced me to my chocobo. The chocobo needed some food, we gathered some food, and not gonna lie, the chocobo race was so easy. He could have said something way harder, but he said that, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Once I won a chocobo race, he said that our friend and the culprit was out there, but the only way we can get out there was through the sewer. We got out of the sewer and proceeded to follow a bird dinky. We ran into Barrett and then we made it to the location. I told Barrett that the culprit was through that gate and Barrett knew the guy, so he said he was going to do this by himself. From there, my soul was transported into Barrett, and now the dying fight. The dying fight was hard because it basically took all the rules that I said and threw it in the trash. Remember how I said you stick with one person and it's usually the fastest person? I couldn't because I had to play with Barrett's slow ass. And remember how I said choose the right team for the right boss? I couldn't because I only can play with Barrett. So when fighting dying, I had to create new rules. Rule number 1, during his first stage, take cover. No matter what, just take cover. Rule number 2, again, during the first stage, have a set amount of health that he can take down, and if he takes down more than that, start over. Dying was the first boss I had to do this with. I literally had to look up his stats to see his weakness, and they said his weakness was fire. Now, remember how I said that in this game you have another way you can use magic, and Barrett had a way that he can use fire without materia. I abused that against Dying's first stage. You know how I'm saying only Dying's first stage? Because his second stage was literally me just going all out on him. Now, I didn't mention the 2 things that actually made me win. And those 2 things were Steel Skin and Bonus Round. You may know that Steel Skin reduced damage taken, and Bonus Round increased stagger, which those 2 are literally the only reason that I won this entire match. All other things were important, but those 2 were the main reason. After about like 2 hours, I finally beat Dying. Now, was it a skill issue that it took me that long? Probably. But did I grow to hate Dying after this? Most definitely. After Barrett beat Dying, he was gonna let Dying kill him, but then Dying called him a coward from trying to take the easy way out. Shinra troops came and Dying began to shoot at the Shinra troops. Cloud and the others decided to deal with the Shinra troops. Dying still believed that Marlene was dead, but Barrett told him that she was still alive. Dying didn't want Marlene to see him the way he was, and more Shinra troops came. Dying pushed Barrett out of the way and he began to shoot at the Shinra troops.
Dying. Hey. You carry that guilt. That weight. Dying. Dying.
The Barrett lost one of his close friends. The Shinra Turks are approaching. What will Cloud and the gang do? Find out next time on Can You Beat Final Fantasy VII without materia or items? Anyway, that's it for the video. I hope you had a lot of fun watching this video because I know I had a lot of fun making this video. But if you like this video, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like the Final Fantasy VII remake video, which is gonna appear right now. And if you're wondering where's the quote, I'm gonna have that at the end of the challenge. Now if you're wondering why it took me so long to upload another video, it's just I had a lot of tests and I was sick, so that's why it took me a little longer to upload this video. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I've been Tess and I'll see you on the next challenge.